So just one of the little bits of history. We'll give some history to this industry for people who are new. Amy Luby is the only person I know who has been like too bad for New Orleans. Got kicked out of a bar in New Orleans.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with your hosts, Amy Babinchak, James Kernan, Amy Luby, and Carl Polachuk. Produced by and for the Small Biz Thoughts technology community. We're dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional. Welcome to another SMB Community Podcast. I'm Carl, joined by the whole team this time. So we're not always going to be all available, but as the year begins, I think we don't have anything else to do. So
oh man,
Amy's here, James is here. How are you guys all today?
Muy bien.
good.
Good.
Great.
So Amy Babinchak, will let you kick off because you have a new peer group and it's kind of urgent in the sense that folks have to join in January. Tell us what you're up to over at Third Tier.
All right. So over at Third Tier, I have offered to create a new peer group, and we'll see if enough folks want to join and do it to make it happen. Because, and this starts with my MSP, Harbor, we've decided to double the size of the company. And we did this a few years ago, and we accomplished it in 18, from 600,000 to 1.2 million. And this time we're going to go from 1.5 million to 3 million. And so there's a process for doing that, and it's a huge amount of work and commitment to make that happen in a relatively short time frame. And so as I'm preparing all the materials and doing all the things, and I run a couple other peer groups, and the topic comes up a lot, and it comes up across the whole community of how do I grow my business, right? How do I meet people? How do I get them to sign my contracts? How do I advertise, right? How do I do all this stuff? And I was thinking, well, this is exactly what I'm going to be doing. And I've done this before and it was successful. And so I know that I will be successful at doubling the business again. And so I thought, well, let's see if anybody else wants to join in and follow along and support one another as we go through the process. And I will be sharing and teaching absolutely every single thing that I do in the process of doubling the size of the MSP.
And are you looking for 5 members, 10 members, 100 members, 10,000?
I'm looking for a small number of people, right? This should be a pretty intimate group of people that are seriously committed. The group will run for 1 year only. We'll meet every month. Like I said, I will teach all the details of every single thing that I am doing to grow the business. And so I expect people will tweak that information, follow along, do it, share with the others, report their successes, their failures, their challenges, and we will all grow our businesses together in this process.
So the process of doubling your business sounds, especially if you're already at 1.5, sounds like a very daunting task. Are you approaching it as, no, it's just a task?
Yeah, I think it is just a task, right? But it is a lot of work, right? And so this is me doing it. This is owner-led business growth, which is typically how it happens in the small MSP world, right? We don't go out and hire salespeople. We get down and do the work ourselves. So, so it's me buying the mailing lists and determining who should be on the mailing list and who our targets are, and designing we're doing something that we've done before to be successful, and that is that we're holding in-person events, and we're inviting business owners to come attend it. So we've got networking. We're starting up a networking group, right? And we've got 12, one each month, 12 12 editions in different areas around town that we're meeting and inviting business owners to come and, come and ask IT any question you have, right?
Oh, so you're going
And
to do 12 events. Last time I think you did one big event.
well, we did big training events, so we're still going to do our big training events. Because the goal is bigger this time, we're also going to do these networking events.
Wow.
So the first kickoff are the networking events, and that involves, right, buying the list and finding your targets and connecting with them on LinkedIn and starting the conversation, sending out the postcards. Well, first you got to design the postcards, stamp and mail the postcards, it's a whole bunch of steps all along the way, and you have to do all the things and you have to do it every day. It's a huge commitment, and if you don't commit yourself to this is something that I'm going to do every day, then you'll never reach that goal. And that's part of the purpose of the peer group, is to have other people to hold you accountable, because when you show up to the meeting and tell us what you did last month and what you've accomplished and what your results were, and so people are going to be expecting to hear that, and that helps us all sort of stay on track.
Amy, I think this could be super powerful. The majority of MSPs that I talk to just in my career path who maybe are complaining or saying, hey, I'm not seeing the growth that I want to see. If I ask, what does a day in a life look like for you? And they walk me through their day, I'm like, there's almost zero sales activity going on there. So
Right.
this is powerful.
Yeah, and it's part of the process. In my mind, it's part of the process of actually becoming the business owner rather than the lead tech in your company. Right? Everybody needs to graduate from lead tech to business owner, and that's a huge transition. And if you haven't made that transition, growing your company and being able to focus on the sales and marketing of your business is extremely difficult to do. Some of my sales process is about not having a salesperson. So, I use a lot of shotgun approach things so that the people on the recipient end can self-select without me having to do a huge amount of, in-person sales calls. So there's a mix of some of that stuff in there as well.
Is it focused on smaller MSPs then?
I think the majority of MSPs are small, honestly.
Yeah,
And
they are.
yes, the people that don't have a sales and marketing person on staff, that they're, it's for the owner-led salesperson, right?
Yep, that's good. And then are you going to go into other things like operations and scaling the business and process and tools? Or is it really 100% focused on just the sales and marketing side?
This is going to be focused 100% on the growth side of things. Right. I've got a couple other peer groups, and in those peer groups, it's more sort of an open format.
Mhm.
But the conversation over there is often about operations and how to be more efficient and how to, as things grow and evolve. But this is
Right.
really just a focused, follow me. I will teach you all the things that I am doing that will double my business and will double your business.
So Amy Luby, when you said that every time you talk to people and over the last, so many years, I thought you were going to say they all want to know the first question in their lives is, how can I get more customers? How can I get more sales? Right.
Well, yeah, they ask that question, but when you dig in, they're not doing the things.
Right.
And the things aren't hard, but you have to do them every single day.
Yeah, they're not difficult, but they are, for most of us, they are distasteful. Please give me some of your money. Please, can I have some of your money now? How about now?
Right. Well, to the point where I see many, and I don't even know if this is MSP specific, but many small business owners who do have a distaste for anything that sounds like sales, they'll outsource, they'll pay thousands a month for an SEO company and a cold calling, appointment setting service and all these things and expect these leads to come raining in
Yeah.
And you say, and they'll complain, God, I spent, $7,000 a month on this or that. And like, okay, well, who's your ideal client? Oh, what do you mean? Well,
Right.
of course, if you can't even say my ideal profile that I'm going after is X, how are these outsourced companies going to be able to perform for you anyway? Because they're not, they're just going by what you're managing to. And
But
if
then
you
I get to complain that the leads aren't good.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Leads suck. There's only one a month or whatever, and they never turn into a sale. There's so much more involved with that than just a lead coming to your inbox. So yeah.
It's a different kind of lead than what we're used to dealing with too, right? Typically, when an MSP goes out, they have a lead and they go out and they talk to somebody, it's a warm referral from a client,
Yeah.
or it's somebody you met, right? This person is ready to talk to you about signing on. That's what we want to generate. And so my technique is to try to generate more of those things, right? And it is by leading with the relationship. That's how I do it. The way that the calling firms do it is more the traditional sales, right? I got 100 phone calls I have to make today. 10 of those are going to answer the phone. 2 of those I'm going to be able to schedule a meeting with. It's like, yeah, but you didn't actually, we don't even know that they're ready to buy or to talk to us, or, the leads are generally pretty weak. They're cold call sales leads. They're not the kind of leads that a non-professional salesperson knows how to turn into a sale. And we're all non-professional salespeople.
Except for James.
Except for James.
Except for James,
He's the,
right.
Except
he's
for
the man.
James.
And,
Hey, one thing I wanted to jump in and add to this, kind of to Amy Luby's point was, people will try marketing and oh, this sucks, it's too expensive. And the worst thing is they stop. The marketing is the oxygen in your business. And Amy, what you're doing is it's a 12-month program where you're going to be talking about marketing every week, every month, every quarter. You're doing it constantly. And it drives me crazy when I see people start marketing and then stop, start and then stop. And then it's, marketing is like, think of that big jumbo jet going down the runway. You can't start and stop. Pretty soon you're going to run into the fence and go in the river, right? So crash and burn. And it just needs to be consistent is my point. Marketing is easy. You just have to be in the right place at the right time. And you've got to communicate in multiple different ways. So,
well, and the old adage that half the money I spend on marketing is no good. I just don't know which half.
Well, that's why you have to track what you're doing,
right?
What the results are, what's working and what doesn't. So
yeah, I always tell people, like, if you don't do your marketing every day, right? For each week that you don't market, you get to start all over again.
Right. Exactly.
Like, you're constantly starting from zero because it's all about momentum. And if you're not building that momentum, which for us is nurturing these relationships that we've created, then you're back at zero, just like you said. It's, 0, 1%, 0, 1%, 0, 1%. That's never, ever, ever going to be successful. But James, I know you've got excellent peer groups as well. So we both run some peer groups. You're the professional sales guy. So what's unique about your groups?
So it's similar to what you're talking about. One key word you used, Amy, that I think is important, and I just want to emphasize it again, is accountability. It's lonely at the top. Most small business owners go off on their own because they're tired of someone else yelling at them, right? Telling them what to do. So they go form their own company. Over 50% of MSPs are all under 5 employees. So they're owner-led, just like you were talking about. But I think everybody needs accountability, even us coaches. That's why we meet like this and we hold each other accountable and share ideas. And, there's no one person that knows everything. So the peer groups that we have, it is very sales, it's growth oriented, right? So we put together plans, we hold each other accountable on a weekly basis. But one other thing, that's why I asked the questions I did. To me, it feels like growing your business is the easy part. It's all the other stuff that comes around it, of hiring great people and retaining them, compensation plans, keeping people motivated, right? And keeping them trained, teaching them customer service skills. And then what tools are the right tools for my business as we're doubling or tripling or quadrupling the number of employees. And it's that other growth stuff that comes along with, scaling your business that's important. So we kind of run our meetings like EOS meetings. So, I'm an EOS guy. We take that EOS approach and implement that as really the structure or the blueprint around how to grow your business. So it's similar to what you talked about, Amy, and I know you do a lot of operations in the back end and some of your other groups. So I think we kind of combine both of those in ours. And we've got a really cool event coming up. Some of the events, we typically hold quarterly events, kind of like road shows going around the country, and all the members just kind of pick fun areas where it'd be fun to go visit, right? New Orleans or Miami or cities like that. The first one's going to be in Orlando, March 30th and 31st for Q1. And looking forward to that. And instead of having it like at a convention hall, we're actually having it inside the new Threat Locker offices in Orlando. So it's going to be a behind the scenes tour. We're going to be there for 2 days. It's March 30th and 31st. So that's exciting. And then we're going to go to other cool locations like that with other strategic partners each quarter. And one of them is even going to be on a cruise. So we're trying to make 2023, now that people are out at more face-to-face events, we're going to just try to make more of an experience of it. So, and that's where, I think those events to me are icing on the cake, because that's really where you create that strong bond. And many of our members have been together for a long time. So we try to mix business with pleasure, if that makes sense.
Cruises in this industry.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's a history of going to Florida. Everybody has to go to Florida at least once.
What was the conference in New Orleans? That was the first cruise I can remember.
Jeff Middleton's.
Yeah.
Yep. I went on 2 cruises with that. It was a lot of fun. So your group will have a good time with that.
Thank you.
James, it's super powerful. You said it's lonely at the top. To create the space for business owners to find cohorts, peers that they can share with is super powerful. So really interesting what you're doing.
By now you've heard of the National Society of IT Service Providers, but why should you join? The NSITSP is committed to transforming our industry into a profession. They've established an industry-wide code of ethics and are working to improve the reputation of IT consultants nationwide. Wherever anybody is talking about IT consultants, NSITSP wants a seat at the table. That includes the media, government regulators, and the general public. Take pride in your industry and show off your membership. Join us today at nsitsp.com. Other topics. So I've been playing with a toy called Tolstoy, and we'll put a link to the product I came up with. But this is kind of an interesting marketing tool. And so I actually would love to hear your feedback on whether it's the right thing for our market. I have to confess that even though I have gone all in on video, I hate learning from video. I don't mind making it, but I'm a very fast reader, and video is approximately the slowest way that I could learn anything. And I see why people are tempted to get bored and not want to see anything longer than 1 second. But the Tolstoy tool, basically you create a series of videos and you have to make a fairly complicated tree. So for example, the first video might be, hey, so you're thinking about talking to somebody about IT, what's your primary concern? And then you would have like 3 options appear on the screen, and people say, oh, my primary concern is, dealing with employee turnover. Okay, great. So employee turnover. And then you have a video that addresses how we can help you, save money when you've got a large turnover. And then it says, so do you want to do this by which method, A, B, or C? And then that gets to another video. And the idea is to basically get them onto your site, to stay on your site. And this would be embedded in a page where there's links to make an appointment, send me an email, right? Engage, in a network assessment or whatever. And so what do you guys think of the concept of that? And it's to just so you know, it like the paid version starts at like $20 a month, which is I think all any MSP would ever need.
I am super excited about this. I saw your video that you did for the NSITSP, and there's been a lot of talk about how MSPs need to put a buy now button on their website.
Right.
And I have a lot of, I know the reason for it and all that stuff, but I have a lot of concern about that because of the relationship style selling that I like to do. And and the type of client that I'm looking for appreciates that relationship. So a buy now button doesn't jive, right? That jives with, hey, you want a laptop? Click here to buy it. That's not what we do. So, but this, if I could take a person who is browsing around on MSP websites to figure out who they're going to call to, who's going to be the 3 firms that they talk to. If I could get them into that video funnel on my website and sort of talk them through that process of self-selection, like, here's what we're about. What are your concerns, A, B, or C, blah, blah, blah. And almost talk them through a little mini meeting and then have a buy now button or, click here to sign the contract. I think this might be the ticket of being able to actually put something that jives more with who MSPs are.
Well, and I think it's kind of a funnel, but it's not like a classic funnel that says, oh, offer them a $2 item and now you've got their credit card, and then offer them the $1,000 item. And oh, that's too much. Okay, then offer them the $100 item. And, that sort of up, down funnel that engages you, but it's all about the money and not about the actual problem or concern or relationship. So
this could be like the funnel of, I want to talk to some MSPs and I've come to your website because you look like you're in my area or whatever. And then you can sort of like take their vague notion of wanting to hire an MSP and funnel it down into, oh, I want to hire you.
Right. Well, you could also have a page that even before you begin the individual funnels, you say, here are the primary, 4 reasons people engage in MSP. Which one appeals to you most? And they start with that video. That way you don't have to go one layer up, because as you imagine, the ABC tree can expand to a massive amount of complexity. The good news is once you create a part, like if you've got a thing that's about the tools we use, that might be part 1 of one video and part 17 of another video, right? So you can reuse the parts whenever you choose.
I like it. I like it. An important piece to what you guys are talking about is people do business with people, and you need that relationship element. But as you personalize it and the way you described it, I'm excited about it. I like it.
Well, we'll put up the example, and then when we're done, everyone will be a member of NSITSP because it will be so effective.
So on my radar is the speculation on whether or not LastPass can make it through this most recent breach that they've had. Because the breach before this one was into their source code. And then this one is somebody using that source code to access customer data. And man, if there's talk about a breach of trust for a product that's entirely built on trust, I'm really worried about them. whether
Mm.
that's a survivable thing. I mean, for any business, think about even, think about that situation for any type of business and how dire that is.
I think in my opinion, there's a lot of lack of transparency of what's going on.
Right.
And I get the process, right? I get the incident response process. I understand legal ramifications, but at the same time, they're eking out very little information and it's very generic. And that, to me, is the most damaging thing you could do from a trust level.
Right.
If there's been any kind of a breach, okay, what was it? How did it happen? What are you doing to fix it? And what have you done to prevent it going forward? I think we would all like to know that very clearly. So that's my major, I think, frustration right now with the whole situation, is that transparency.
That's a great point, Amy, because, without that transparency and just direct communication, you get little snippets of this and that, and then people start assuming the worst, right? And I'm concerned for their overall well-being. It's you lose that trust, and then things are different.
I think this is an opportunity for us to revise or at least tune up our messaging to end users. I think that we as an industry have pretty much failed. Our end users are tired. Like we warned them about passwords and viruses in 1995. And then we've just amped up the volume every year since then. And they don't understand any of this. This is all, want. Right. I have no idea what you're talking about, except we need to be careful. Yes, we'll be more careful. They don't know what the name of their password vault is, right? I literally see things in the news that are like, Bloomberg was asking, is it safe to keep your data in the cloud? Like, that's the question that they got out of this, because LastPass is cloud-based. It's absurd. And our clients read that, right? And then they say, oh, now you're going to tell me I have to do this, or I have to spend more money. And, we need to do messaging that makes people understand and feel like they can actually trust us. Like, we will put you in a decent product, and, we'll show you how to use it right. Because ultimately, the data from LastPass is encrypted. But if you've got the data, you can beat against copies of that for the rest of eternity. So, right. And then people go online and they say, well, passwords are a thing of the past and you should completely get away from them. It's like, okay, but I have 1,000 applications that require a password. So, that advice isn't very useful. And yet that's the kind of thing that the security wonks want to put up on the internet. And then their clients are like, I can't get away from passwords because everything that I use, from Yelp to Google, wants a password, right? So I think we need to be clearer with our clients about what they can actually do to be safe and secure, feel secure.
Maybe this is the last bastion towards helping all of us to stop talking about tools and start talking about behaviors and other things that you can be doing. If I'm recommending any password manager, it doesn't matter. I'm going to look like a fool when they get breached, or any other tool, right? So maybe we need to really get away from this whole idea that it's tools that make us an MSP.
Well, we definitely need to get away from the idea that tools make the MSP. I'm 100% behind that. But at the same time, man, if you don't have a password manager, it's impossible to use complex passwords in the way that they need to be used today. And I've been very saddened to see some of my peers recommending that you store your password manager database on your own computer. now that may work for them personally, but I can tell you that's not going to work for all the users in all of the companies that my MSP supports. We're going to, they're going to expect us to, if we move to a tool like that, they're going to expect us to protect it.
Mhm.
And, we're going to end up with password databases on every machine in the company. That is a nightmare, right? I mean, talk about waiting for a loss to occur.
Yeah,
Somebody
that's the next
forgets.
juicy target.
You're no kidding. Somebody, yeah, it's not like it's not like their computer is any more secure than,
Yeah.
than a service in the cloud. It just isn't. And they may be a smaller target, all of these PCs all over the place, but the first time somebody's computer goes off to recycling and someone forgot to copy the database over to their new computer, now they've lost their 500 passwords. Who are they going to point the finger at? That will be you, right? That's not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's concerning. The thing I'm biggest, my primary concern about this whole thing is really, what happened to honesty and integrity, right? And again, it's just not our industry. And I don't want to pull us down a whole rabbit trail, but, when I look at what we do as professionals for the end users, it's people, process, and tools, people, process, and tools. And back to the people element of the core values of us as either spokespersons for our business or just the simple communication. I get people putting positive spin on thing or your marketing message or whatever, but again, back kind of to Amy Luby's point, to me, it seems like a lot of integrity and honesty just kind of is disappearing in our society today. And, my concern is, when has that ever been acceptable? And we need to just be honest with our clients to build that trust. People will never buy from you as a sales professional if they don't like you and trust you. Okay. And it doesn't happen immediately. It doesn't happen on a website. You need to get face to face and build that relationship. And when you gain that trust from someone, you need to protect it and cherish it. So I'm, it's just another example to me of a lack of integrity and poor communication and maybe even a little dishonesty. So.
Well, clearly we expect good messaging and, LastPass and I don't want to pick on them specifically, but, vendors in general, they put stuff on their blog when something happens. But if they put it on their blog 4 months late and right before the Christmas holiday, so it gets lost in the news, that's just not a great way to operate. So, well, we shall see. I think it's important that people talk to their clients and say, look, whatever tool you use, it doesn't matter. You will be breached. So the question is, what are you going to do to secure everything as much as possible? And what's your response? Back in the days when people would store their passwords in Excel spreadsheets or Word documents, they never lost them. And the reason they never lost them is because they had a copy on the server and a copy on their desktop and a copy on some, CD that was in the server and on and on and on. They had multiple copies of them. So their various versions of old password files were absolutely everywhere. So they never lost everything. But today, that's just a matter of like, oh my, if that's what people are doing, just go dig into every little machine you can find. So, and I'm sure the bad guys are already doing that. So, it's not like I'm giving them any ideas. I just want to mention my State of the Nation address has been, at the time that this comes out, it will have been posted, and it's over at mspwebinar.com. That's a singular webinar, mspwebinar.com.
Yep. I just want to encourage everybody, make sure you've got your goals in place and a plan to adjust of what's going on in the economy in 2023. And if you need a business planning template, I've got the Kernan Consulting one-page business plan I'll happily share with anybody that reaches out to us free of charge. It's just a simple exercise, take you about 15 minutes. And just email james@kernanconsulting.com, and I'm happy to share that with everybody.
I love the idea of a one-page business plan. That's great. Nobody does a business plan because they're too complicated.
Right.
I love the one-pager idea. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's something I learned, in our industry, everything has moved so fast. And several times when I was speaking on stage, I'll ask, I go, who here in the audience wants to pay me $10,000 to write a 50-page business plan? And then when no hands go up, right, I'll say, okay, well, I just wanted to ask that question first, because I'm going to give everybody for free a one-page business plan, because nobody has the patience, for a 50-page business plan. It just takes too long. And it's a real simple exercise. My joke is that my exercise is 3 pages long. So it takes me 3 pages to explain how to do a one-page business plan. But it's only because I give an example at the end. Right.
Oh, it's incredible focus, right? Which is
Yeah.
sometimes hard to do as a business owner. There's so many things to
Yeah.
do, and get it down in one page. That's amazing focus.
Yeah, I was in a mastermind group with Jim Horan, the author of the original one-page business plan book. And he lamented that it was sort of like he had this one really great idea and it made him a bunch of money. Then he tried to write all these other offshoot books, and none of them sold very well because, when you have a really clear, simple idea that's super successful, you're kind of done, So anyway, he's passed now, but it's a very powerful concept, and it's actually harder than it sounds, because you have to boil things down. Amy talked earlier about, you got to find out who your client is before you can market to them. That's also true with your business plan. You have to have some idea what you're doing. You can't just say, this year I'm going to grow by 4%. Oh, okay, that's not useful. Very good. We're done for the day. And we will see you next week. Please like and share, subscribe on your favorite podcatcher, and tell your friends about the rebooted. Thank you for tuning into the SMB Community Podcast. If you found this useful, interesting, or fun, please subscribe, share with your friends, and give us a thumbs up on your favorite social media. Please check out the show notes at smbcommunitypodcast.com and give us your feedback.